The shared housing sector is a growing private rental submarket. Researchers have sought to analyze the benefits of shared housing for tenants and landlord systems, as well as risk for tenant and local planning systems. Yet, there is a limited research exploring the diversity of the shared housing sector. Well, hello, I'm Ishita, and today I will be presenting my views on environment health risk acting as an environmental health officer working for City of Melbourne. So today I'll be talking about overcrowding. So what do you feel when you hear the word overcrowding? As my slide says, that people are walking from one place to another. So basically, overcrowding is defined as an inescapable problem which is generated by the drawbacks of socio-economic status. Overcrowding has always been looked down, hence resulting in shortage of affordable housing in the cities. It also compromises with the security as well as the safety of an individual. There are so many reports which have been published by the media. As I have quoted over here, 58 beds crammed into 19 dirty makeshift rooms, 10 people shoehorned into one bedroom, tenants sleeping in bathrooms, and in one case, one of the person was staying in a pantry. 10 people in a two-bedroom unit. Living at crowded places like this and ignoring about public health is a form of homelessness. Well, talking about the health issues now. How health issues are related to overcrowding. A more specific reason for investigating overcrowding in Australia is the understanding that health and well-being issues arise from closer contact between household members, especially children sharing a bed or bedroom, increased physical contact, or housemates using the same blankets or bedsheet increases the chance of spreading infections, lack of sleep, lack of privacy, poor hygiene practice, and an inability to care adequately for sick household members. For instance, studies looking at the incidence of common infectious diseases such as cold, asthma, and influenza have found an association between prevalence and crowding. A New Zealand study identified crowding as a major risk factor for meningococcal disease. In other words, such residents do not have control of or access to space for social relations and adequate personal hygiene, especially limited access to personal living space and privacy and lacking exclusive access to kitchen facilities and a bathroom. Talking about public health, how overcrowding is a public health issue. As you can see in the picture also, there's a family with 5 kids. That's a big family. Research also indicates that the type of housing in which low-income families reside adversely affects their health outcome. Where a family lives in an owner-occupied housing, privately rented housing, or public housing has a significant relationship to their health. Not only are health outcomes affected in terms of childhood asthma and lead poisoning, but studies have shown that overcrowding in childhood homes can be connected to a variety of serious diseases later in life. Overcrowding and poor quality housing have a direct relationship to poor mental development delay, heart diseases, as well as even short stature. The connection between inadequate housing and poor health is increasingly well documented. Standards and deterioration housing contributes to a variety of ailments, from respiratory diseases and neurological disorders to psychological and behavioral dysfunction. These often life-threatening ailments disproportionately affect children of color and children of low-income facility. Those who can't afford these luxuries find virtual living through television. These, together with rising levels of malnutrition, contribute to a national epidemic of obesity and variety of chronic illnesses to which it contributes, worsening the crisis of public health and housing. Well, now I'm going to be talking about some hazards that are associated with poorly constructed inner city apartments. As you can have a look at the picture, it shows that how the apartments in the city are constructed, and there are no space to move in some apartments. There is no air to pass on. So many of the apartments in the city, especially Melbourne, have some major lacks in constructions. Most of the buildings are not environmentally sustainable because of the heat and cooling unit. A few of the buildings are using renewable sources of energy, for example, solar panels. Maximum of energy utilization takes place in pools, plants, and spas. In addition to that, various other risks associated with the inner city apartments, except the risks of infections, are bad influence or behavioral risks. Especially with a young crowd like university students, they get easily influenced by drinking, smoking, drug and abuse. Secondly, pollution is another hazard leading to stress and anxiety, especially if one of the housemates is playing songs loudly and it could be a problem for another one, or likewise, leading to mental stress and lack of concentration. Lastly, extreme temperatures and fire is another hazard leading to property damage, injuries, sunstroke, and fire. According to CBD News, many of the inner city's high-rise apartments don't have opening windows, posing particular dangers for residents in the event of power blackouts. And not all the apartment buildings have backup generators. The research highlights to public and that heat stress inside apartment is a real issue. And that we need to do more control this, not only in new buildings but also for the existing ones. Well, I'll be talking about social determinants now. So there are various determinants of health which are responsible for overcrowding. The first one being social and community context. As you can have a look at the diagram as well. So a social determinant of health with three main intersecting constructs: inadequate housing conditions, affordability, and residential stability. While inadequate housing conditions are associated with both physical and mental illness through direct and indirect pathways. Structural features of the home directly impact health. Example, mold and pest infestation, feeling pains, drafts, and energy inefficiency, as well as physical crowding. While affordability, including fear of eviction, house costing, as well as overcrowding. And residential stability defined as frequent moves or in most extreme form, homelessness, may directly or indirectly impact health. Poor housing quality and instability is associated with numerous mental health consequences, including stress and physical health conditions, including respiratory conditions due to poor indoor air quality, cognitive delays, and exposure to neurotoxins, especially lead. Housing instability disrupts work, school, and daycare arrangement, as well as social networks for both parents and children. Talking about health and healthcare determinants of health now. As mentioned in the previous slide, living at an overcrowded place means knocking on the door to some kind of illness. Your body is prone to get infected, and which might be worse for you at a later stage in life. Chronic disease start from a minute mistake leading to fatal consequences. Also, overcrowded places won't allow you to walk properly in the apartment, henceforth physical inactivity and knowing for obesity. Other than that, passive smoking is worse than smoking a single cigarette. All these things together might end up into psychological disorders or mental illnesses. Talking about economic stability now. Housing affordability affects stability and people's sense of control over their lives. There is a causal relationship between losing the ability to pay for housing and a decline in mental health. Housing affordability also affects living practices such as ability to buy food. Other determinants are education as well as neighborhood. Education is basically social environment and food, and neighborhood talks about security, safety, as well as income. So I'm going to be talking about determinants of health again by the pictures. As the pictures I've mentioned, you can see the first picture, it is showing lack of concentration. So there's a girl who's trying to study, but there are two guys who are laughing around at the back. So it's not allowing her to study well. Well, next picture shows a homeless lady who has no proper shelter and no proper food. And you can see in the picture she's got two dogs there. So she needs money and she needs a place so that she can live properly and also can take care of the dogs. Lastly, the third picture shows the mental stress which the two guys are having, and that is because of the tenure, the house tenure, as well as how to pay the rent. Cool. So that was about the determinants of health. Next, I'll be talking about the contextual factors, which include age. So age could be any age, like infants, kids, adolescent, young, or elderly. It is unhealthy to live in an overcrowded environment for any age. It's not good for yourself and for the future. Some symptoms are not noticed at a younger age, but might be cancerous for your body someday. Also, it is important to eat healthy food irrespective of the age that can lead to obesity, polycystic ovary syndrome, diabetes, or heart disease. Talking about the gender, it could be male, female, LGBTQ, trans, anything. Irrespective of that, one should have education to proper shelter to live in, food to eat, and clean water to drink. Each gender should respect the other gender and be mindful while having sex, as in crowded areas it is very easily to get sexually transmitted diseases. Talking about culture now, which is neighborhood and support networks. That plays a great role in your social circle, and as I mentioned earlier, it is important to keep your neighborhood hygienic, which allows you to be well and have a healthy neighborhood. Neighborhood plays an important role in educating you as well as in socializing. Good neighborhood environment and supportive community network around housing location reduces stress and increases opportunity for socialization. Lastly, personal experience. This is really important about tendency, experience, culture that might lead you into good or bad company. However, property quality and affordability are big tasks again. Overcrowding spoils the place, so no one gets a chance to use all the amenities of the property. And everybody do not keep things back to their normal place. However, living with an accurate number of people as per the apartment will help you to live a safe and a quality life. Affordable housing reduces financial stress and free up income for other expenditure. Cool. So next I'll be talking about the government and stakeholder intervention. So according to government regulation, an individual should have at least 7.5 square meter room for himself or herself if he or she is living in a one-bedroom house. If there are two people living in a bedroom house, the floor size must be at least 12 square meter, and if any additional person is coming and staying with them or living with them, he or she has to get a 4 square meter per person requirement. Talking about the inspections, inspections can be conducted anytime, but they have to give a prior notice. Even landlords or real estate agents keep inspection of the property every 3 months, but again with a prior notice. That is the drawback for this regulation, that people get time to clean the apartment, move out some extra people who are living there, and as the Privacy Act is involved, so they cannot be changed. So they have to give a prior notice. And as you can see on the image on the left hand side, it is kind of a structure of routine inspection which the landlords or the real estate agent give to the tenants. So that was about overcrowding. Now I would like to conclude by saying that there is a big no to the 3 C's, and that is crowded place with many people nearby, close contact settings, especially where the people have close range conversation, confined enclosed space with poor ventilation. And the risk is higher in places where these factors overlap. Even as restrictions are lifted, consider wherever you're going, hashtag stay safe by avoiding all these 3 C's. Well, at the end, I would just like to say good health means improving access to employment, education, improving housing standards, increasing the opportunities for social engagement, and reducing insecurity. So next are the references. I have referred my slides accordingly, and I've got 15 references over here. Well, I would like to say a big thank you to David as well as Daniel, who gave me an opportunity to be a part of this beautiful research. I learned a lot about Melbourne's apartment, and because I have been there, I have lived there as an international student, and I'm still living with my housemates, so it was a great chance to understand about the housing system and overcrowding and how it is impacting the health and how it is affecting the public health. Well, thank you so much.